It's my good friend Casey Bukowski, one of my heroes. He was a World War II veteran, 8th Air Force. He flew in B-17s as a waist gunner. On his 16th combat sortie, he was shot down, lost his right eye, and received a bunch of shrapnel wounds. But Germans got him, so he spent the last 14 months as a POW and the last 80 days on a forced march in the winter. So we're proud to have him as a friend and happy he's here with us today. He just turned 100 June 4th, and he just returned. He was in Normandy for the 80th anniversary. And he's still flying. He's still very active for 100 years old. I hope I'm that spry when I'm his age.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, young man.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you, sir.
Jared, you introduced Casey.
Yeah.
Casey, would you have a few words you would like to say to the rest of us? And life in general.
All I can say, this is a surprise for me, and all I can say is thank you so much for this honor. I never expected it. I never expected to be honored this way, but I accept it with full heart and all the blessings associated with it. Thank you all. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Can you do a little abridged version of, remember you said the other day at school, you woke up that morning and you just felt like it wasn't going to be a good day.
I just was oh.
I'm good, but you can leave that there. I can still hear him. That's okay.
My day started at about 3 in the morning when my sergeant woke me up by rapping on my bunk and yelling at me, screaming at me. This is a mission day, up and at 'em. And I was very groggy actually, woke up, let's say, and wondered, where was I? I was beginning to wonder, where was I? And then I remembered, let's see. Last I remember, I was in town sipping on a brew and enjoying myself. Next thing I know, this fella's rapping on my bunk, telling me to get up. There's a mission ahead. And I groaned wearily. I said to myself, this is not going to be a good day. Not for me. So I tried to go back to sleep, but the sergeant persisted and got my butt out of bed. And my next stop was the mess hall. I said to myself again, well, I guess I gotta do what I'm told. So actually, I remembered one of the first things I learned when I got into the service, when I spoke with officers or other persons in the service with me. I learned to say, yes, sir, no, sir, and no excuse, sir. So that was my remark to the sergeant, and I headed for the mess hall because they fed us before each mission, and usually we were allowed fresh eggs for breakfast when we flew missions. And this day, so happens, they couldn't get fresh eggs for us, and we had to dine on powdered eggs. And can you imagine? Well, I don't suppose you could, but me facing powdered eggs at 3 o'clock in the morning, no, that's a sad tale. And then again, I moaned to myself, this is not going to be a good day. So we had our breakfast, and what we had of it we enjoyed, I guess. Then the next stop was briefing. And we sat in at the briefing, and the captain, when he pulled back the curtain at the briefing hall, he announced, today is a big one. Today is Germany. And when he said Germany, we all groaned and moaned and sighed and everything else. And again, I cried to myself, this is not going to be a good day. So I took it just like everyone else did. We went to the briefing, and the captain announced the target was Germany, and we were all briefed the same. And finally, we got into the trucks and carried on to our planes. When we got to our plane, our bomber, the navigator wanted to throw his parachute into the plane through the hatch he had in front of the ship, and guess what? He missed. The parachute came down on the ground, fell to the ground, and burst open. When I saw that white mushroom burst open on the ground, again, I moaned to myself, this is not going to be a good day. So, be that as it may, it happened to be a little hubbub around the plane. When we got to our plane, the mechanics and other people were running around yelling at each other and so on. And then I just wondered what was wrong. And someone said that there was something wrong with the engine. So in the meantime, start engines was called for all the planes in the group, and wouldn't you know, ours would start and sputter and stop, start, sputter, and start. And I took that as a warning, sort of, from the great one above, I guess. And I guess what I said, this is not going to be a good day. I kept singing this song all morning. Even when it came to start engines, ours wouldn't start. In the meantime, the rest of the group started their engines. They lined up on the runways, and as a matter of fact, our squadron was already on the runway and in the air taking off. Our pilot was told to abort the mission, but he insisted on flying this mission, and he kept working on the plane until he got it running. He did get it running and took it to the runway at the end, and wouldn't you know, all the planes were gone, but my pilot insisted on taking off again. So he took off, and we tried to catch up to our group, but we couldn't. They were too far ahead, and our pilot again was told to abort the mission, and he said no, he's going to find some way to get the mission. And again, I moaned to myself, this is not going to be a good day. So finally, we were lucky. I guess we were lucky. We found a group, a squadron of ours passing by our group, and between conversation between the two pilots, they agreed that we could join their group and fly with them. So that we ended up, well, Buck and Charlie, let's call them, or Purple Heart Corner, or whatever you want to call it. We ended up as the last plane in that group, flying to the target. We flew that way up to the target, and we got beset by German fighters and the attack and all that. And as a matter of fact, make a long story short, we took a bit of a beating at that time. And one of the German pilots managed to hit us with his fighter plane and knock us down. And when all this was said and done, and I regained consciousness and realized where I was already a prisoner and all, I said, I thought this wasn't going to be a good day. It wasn't. That's the day I was shot down, our crew was shot down, and we were prisoners of war for 14 months after that in a German government, and until liberated by General Patton at the end of the war. That was my tale of woe of my final day in the Army Air Corps, serving the government to the best of my ability, which was always a disaster, I would say, in my way of explaining it. But nevertheless, I still serve my term and proud of it and happy that I can come back here and talk about it.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.